I don't think this is the series that you're going to be expecting me to go to next. I just can't drum up the level of interest in it that I think other people are going to have. And I'm also assuming that we get Warriors Jazz, which will intrigue me more than this one. I have the 4v5 matchup in the West of Clippers Mavericks. I know people want to sort of build it up because of what it was last year, especially before the Kristaps Porzingis injury. I think the Clippers are just, I want to hear your thoughts first, but I just think I can't get a hold on them, and I don't trust them. And it's not just because of what we saw last season. It's just even this season, whenever you're ready to believe in them, something happens in crunch time, or the defense gets weird, or the shot making is bizarre. I think they're just so much better than the Mavericks, and I've been, they are fifth in the West, so give the Mavericks credit. I've just been so low on the Mavericks relative to the consensus because they are Luka Doncic, and I don't, Jalen Brunson, Tim Hardaway Jr., fringe 6 Man of the Year candidates, great, grand, wonderful. They just don't have the number 2 guy. They don't have that secondary shot creator.
Yeah, strong agree. I think a couple things. Like the one-man operation is a really tough thing to pull off in the playoffs, and very few teams are, you might say the Blazers as well. If Damian Lillard doesn't get off, that's a problem. But they have McCollum. They have other ways to go, unless you are a big Porzingis believer, and I don't know why you would be really in a significant way after this season. It's just Doncic, and the Clippers have the big wings to at least just be in his way or make him beat you with a bunch of step backs. It's the Clippers are 32-11 in games that George and Leonard both played, plus 17.5 in the minutes with them on the floor together. I mean, that will be a significant portion of all of these games that they will have both of them out there. And it's not like the rotation falls off a cliff on guys 6 through 9 on that team. There's going to be bodies that they can, really credibly put out there and not give that massive net rating advantage back. I think just Dallas is a little worse than it was last year. And I don't think it's crazy to say the Clippers are at least as good as they were last year, and that's assuming they're going to tighten up in a good way and sort of not allow whatever all that was last year that did them in. I do think if you're looking for ways to poke holes in the Clippers, you got to go with it's all the old cliche stuff. Well, they really depend on making jumpers, but I think that's not even a valid criticism really anymore because they have the guys that just make jumpers, and it's not like. Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard for me to come up with semi-defensible reasons to not think this is a pretty short series for the Clippers.
Yeah, that would be for the Mavericks looking through at the Clippers on what could happen that would help Dallas. There's high variance in their shot selection for sure, but since Ibaka was injured, they've been getting to the rim a ton more, probably because they've been starting Zubac, and they have someone in Kawhi Leonard who doesn't need to get to the rim to draw fouls, which is absolutely huge for them. There is that higher variance there, though, and maybe that's the path for Dallas to get lucky, or maybe they win one of 2 games to open up, and that starts something rolling. I also wonder, Zubac is fantastic. I don't think this will happen, but does he get, not played off the floor, but does it become problematic having him on the court instead of Serge Ibaka if Kristaps Porzingis is the other big, just because of where Porzingis is going to camp out? He's not going to try, or at least they shouldn't. Porzingis has been better on post-ups this year, but he shouldn't be trying to post up Zubac. And I know Zubac is quick, but there's still the element of you're not worried about Kristaps Porzingis necessarily taking him off the dribble. He's just going to stand far enough behind the three-point line where it takes Zubac outside a lot of the interior actions. That would be my concern. I can't muster up anything else, though, for this. Yeah. And I think my pick here would be Clippers in 5. I'm trying to talk myself into 6. But I'm just like, I can't get there. My X factors really quickly would be, I think it's Jalen Brunson for Dallas. I feel like there has to be more Doncic Brunson minutes because the Clippers will be able to throw the type of ball. Marcus Morris did a pretty good job on Luka Doncic in the playoffs last year. If they can get the ball out of his hands, they need another creator. It's Tim Hardaway Jr. or Jalen Brunson, I guess, are your best options. And then for the Clippers, it's kind of tough to pin down an X factor for them. I might just say because of how reliant they are on three-point volume, I'll default to Marcus Morris. He'll get a ton of reps against Luka Doncic defensively, and then you're going to rely a bunch on his own three-point volume. But I think you could single out any one of their non-stars. Is it Zubac and his ability to match up with Kristaps Porzingis? Is it just Serge Ibaka in general to stretch the floor, not necessarily hurt your defense in certain situations? You could go. Is it Terrence Mann because he's actually going to play? Is it Patrick Beverley? Can he stay healthy? Yeah, I feel like you could go any one of 80 different ways with the Clippers X factors.
Yeah, I think big picture, Serge Ibaka might be. It's hard to. There 5 is also Clippers, and 5 is also my pick for this series. But I think Ibaka is a good guy to kind of keep an eye on to see sort of how he's looking, because I think down the line, the Clippers are definitely going to look for Marcus Morris is going to play significant minutes at center for them, I think, just in certain series. But you don't want to try to really live that way. And so, because Zubac is good at what he does, but he's limited. And the idea of Ibaka made incredibly perfect sense, from the moment they signed him as the guy who could sort of be in between the versions of those two guys. He can shoot it a little bit, and you don't lose too much rim protection as long as he's kind of right there. He's not super mobile anymore, but I think he's someone I'm going to keep an eye on to kind of see what version of Ibaka we've got, because he wasn't great this year, and he missed a fair amount of time. So I don't know if he's the X factor in this series. I don't know if there is such a thing as an X factor for the Clippers in this series. I guess I would just want to shout out Maxi Kleber for Dallas, because I like that guy and I hope he makes a difference. But it's hard to see why he would matter in this unless they put him on Kawhi again and he's the Kawhi stopper.
And the other thing is too, if the Clippers do decide to downsize in this series with Morris at the 5 minutes, you probably feel better about Kleber as the 5 and take Porzingis off. That's something you at least consider, which would increase the importance of Kleber. And he moves really well defensively, as you sort of already alluded to. Yeah, look, you go Nicholas Batum, by the way, for the Clippers as well. I'm not sure if I don't think this will shock you, but it is shocking given the circumstances under which he left Charlotte, how bad he was, and then went to LA. He led the Clippers in minutes played this season.
That does absolutely shock me. Okay. I can't lie. That's incredible. I had no idea.
He beat out Paul George and he did this in, granted, 13 more appearances, but being available this season in 67 of the 72 games for him is also, to forget about the truncated schedule, for him it's right. He beat out Paul George by 14 total minutes on the year.
Incredible. Good for him.
I want this series, we both had Clippers in 5 on that one, correct?
Yeah.